Hi, everyone. It's Ryan Fowler here with my good friends, Jordan Kurtz and Tim Costello. I almost called you Tim Kurtz. I don't know why. But another great episode of the Inner Game Group every Saturday, and unless we're busy, but almost every Saturday, right at this time. And we're going to continue the interview from last week, which is Tim Wise and the good doctor, I believe, Erica. And we're going to go into some really core fundamental things, talking about behaviors that are exceedingly common. Perhaps even a majority of people in our society have codependent tendencies. So we're going to go into what that is, how to heal it. I'm sure we'll touch on inner child work. It's a continuation of last week. And really the cure to all of this is at a deep core level, get a belief system in you that makes you worthy of love just for who you are. So we're going to dive into all that. It's going to be really good. Probably, like I said, on average, half the people watching this have enough of these issues that it's something you should pay attention to, because if you get unconditional self-love in your core at a deep core belief level, it is a massive upgrade, massive change. You're going to go through life with more confidence, more peace, not people pleasing. Many dysfunctional behaviors will melt away if you get that in your core. And so it's going to be a great episode today. And before we dive in, though, Jordan and Tim, introduce yourselves. Welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm Jordan Kurtz, and recently I've been shifting my hypnosis business model around. So I'm now targeting founders who want to present without panic before sales calls or sales presentations. So if that sounds interesting, more will be coming soon on that. Yeah, and thanks for having me, Ryan.
Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Howdy, howdy. I'm Tim with TimCostelloHypnosis.com. And one of the things, we're talking about the dark side of being nice. Being nice is not a bad thing. Going along with the crowd because you don't want to make waves, that's the kind of being nice that we're talking about, is just going along even though it's against what you think is the right way to go. And that is that people-pleasing aspect of things. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be rude, but it means that you need to set your boundaries and your idea of what you will put up with and what you will not put up with. And that is what's really key. And that's what we're talking about. So the dark side of being nice is being too overly nice and bending with every single wind that comes along the way just to get along. So that's what we're talking about today. And these two, Mr. Wise and Dr. Paul, do a really good job breaking out on. So nice to meet you all today. Have a good day. We'll talk to you in a minute.
All right. And okay, so let's go ahead and cue it up. We are going to start with that. We're going to start with their discussion, the good doctor, and then Jerry Wise, on basically being good for the wrong reasons. And so let's dive into that. Before we do that, just real quick, everyone, welcome to the show. We got a good audience today. Scott Caldwell in the house, the new Next, and Carrie Leopard-Leverworks, Duarte, collab with Dennis, and I know there's one more lady.
Crafting and Crime Daily. Hello, yeah, Rebecca.
Crafting and Crime Daily. Hello.
And even Kev tuned in.
And then Crafting and Crime Daily is Rebecca. So, and then we got a
P-Dubs.
Caldwell. Ryan, thank you for giving me a good review. Your job success score went from 78 to 100%. Nice.
Nice, Scott. Nice.
Scott Caldwell is the brother of a guy who I did some sessions for a few years ago. And then he's been doing some marketing for me recently and really going at above and beyond. So it's my pleasure to give you that review, Scott. And he also gave me a very nice Trustpilot review. I just hit 20 reviews on Trustpilot, and every single one's 5 stars. So I'm very happy about that. And Scott is one of those guys that gave me the idea to do that. He's doing some marketing, doing some great job. So also Kev Dog, is that your son?
Yeah.
All right, so we got a full house today, and let's go ahead and just dive into the clip. I think we've already more or less set it up, unless you guys
Hello,
have
Zoramina.
Yes, Zoramina, welcome. Unless you guys have comments, let's go ahead and dive into the dark side of being nice.
All right.
Being nice for the wrong reasons, among other things.
No, and we try and do the right thing in order to get something back. See, and that, love does not have an agenda. Love does not have somebody else's approval, somebody else's love attached to it. So if we're giving in order to get, what I did for years as a caretaker, I was giving what I thought was love, but then upset when I didn't get it back in the way that I thought I was giving it. See, so then it becomes another way to control.
Well, and that's why I wanted to ask you, how are good behaviors we've been taught, praise, niceness, helping others, caretaking, how do they have a dark side?
Well,
because we know the upside. Oh, I'm being nice. I'm being good. I'm praising other people.
Right. But it depends upon the intention. And this is where intention is so important, because everything comes from our intention. So if our intention is to control, to get approval, to get attention, to get love, then being nice and doing good things is just another form of control. Whereas if our intention is to be loving to ourselves, and we learn to fill ourselves with love from our higher power and bring it in and take care of ourselves, which actually is the opposite of selfish. It's self-responsible to fill ourselves with love to share. Then when we're giving and we're offering, we're being nice, we're being caring, we're doing it from a full heart with no agenda. And the actual energy of it feels completely different. It's like sometimes
it does.
Yeah, sometimes I'll work with a couple who, let's say they're having sexual problems where he wants to have a lot more sex than she does. And she'll say, I don't know what to do when he brings me flowers. And I know he's bringing me flowers to butter me up and get me to have sex with him. And it feels awful. See? Whereas if he was really taking responsibility for himself, he was in his power, he was coming to share love, and he gave her flowers, it would feel great. So it's
different. The intention and the motive is key. And that's what I've said a lot about codependent behaviors. Behaviors
Let's go ahead and pause it right there.
Can be very normal and very.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is called a covert contract. And I really, hey, Tim, Tim's on the big screen. Oh, what do we do? How do we do that? All right, I'll just keep talking. So there is a really good book by Dr. Robert Glover called No More Mr. Nice Guy. He talks about these covert contracts, and he talks about toxic shame being at the root. And the reason this is, this lady's like, he brings me flowers and it feels horrible, is because it's a very manipulative move, what that guy is doing. And women do it, men do it, I mean, equally. So when you say, I'm going to do something nice for you, but then there is a covert, non-explicit expectation that in return, they do something back that they did not agree to. That's what we're talking about here. And so the reason it feels horrible is because that woman did not exercise her agency in agreeing to give him something back. So he says, by doing this without your agreement to do something back, I am now psychologically manipulating you against your will, against your agreement to give me what I want. And that is dishonest, and that is immoral. It's immoral to obligate someone that they didn't agree to it. Now, there's nothing wrong with a transactional relationship that both people agree to. There's nothing wrong with, if you do X, I will do Y, and we are both out in the open agreeing to that. But when you decide I'm going to do something nice to you, and now without you any discussion, any agreement beforehand, now you automatically owe me back. That let me tell you, when guys do it, it creeps women the hell out. They will run away from you. So, you know, and when women do that, you know, it's usually, you know, in relationship context, and it takes away the other person's agency, or it's an attempt to. And so what happens, there's a really good book called Codependency No More. I'd have to look up the author. It's been around since the 90s or 80s.
Isn't that Betty Eady or something?
Yeah, I think so. And she talks about how codependent people, this is like a hallmark sign of codependency, but not, you know, other disorders.
Melody.
Yeah. What's her name?
Melody Beatty.
There you go. She talks about how, you know, she used to be very severely codependent. She focuses on, you know, helping people who are codependent. And she says a lot of her clients are constantly helping others, and everyone that they are helping resents them. Why do they? And this is what they're talking about. So you guys have comments, or you just want to keep going?
Yeah, I got a little bit in there. It's an interesting thing. And although Ryan sort of focused in on the transactional relationship and manipulation going on, it really is inauthenticity that causes that dysfunction. So the guy in this particular case, we'll call him a broken man, and isn't really happy with himself and just needs the validation of what whoever wants the validation for by providing something to someone else as beginning of the contract that Ryan was talking about. And the other person very much being turned off, turned away, turned down, whatever you want to call it, because like Ryan said, it's creepy. Here, I'm going to give you something, and then in return, I want something. Now,
and it's like, I did not agree to that contract. You're imposing it on that person in the name of being nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so and Ryan mentioned, when this happens in social situations where somebody will give something to somebody in exchange for something else, there needs to be a agreement on both sides. Hey, here's the transaction that I am proposing, right? Whether it's in business and sex and love and whatever relationship it happens to be, there's going to be some type of agreed upon contract. Case in point, social situations, a guy and girls in a bar, and the guy will want to buy somebody a drink because drinks are generally pretty expensive in those locations. And he will expect to at least sit down and talk with that person. And maybe that person doesn't want to be sat down next to by this particular person. Inauthenticity will kill every single transaction. Now, the transaction may actually be afforded and accomplished, but it will kill any type of relationship. By being truly authentic, the person truly loves themselves and offers something to somebody else, and that person agrees to accept the terms of the agreement, and all is good. Now, remember, this is two well-functioning people. There aren't a lot of those in the world. So
yeah. Well, there are numbers wise, but percentage wise, it's a minority.
Right.
Yeah.
Numbers wise, for sure. Percentage wise, we're getting worse and worse every single day that we move into the future. So it is very important to understand what's going on when that happens. And you know, Jordan just put something up there about dysfunction. And Ryan mentioned agency. Anytime there is dysfunctional behavior offered or observed, it is because that person has had their agency limited in some way by someone else, either overtly or covertly, and then they become a dysfunctional behavioral type person. I'll leave it there. We can keep on going that forever.
I definitely want to dive into this because this gets into the root. There's a root reason people do covert contracts, nice guy behavior, people pleasing behavior. all of that there. And this kind of, it starts going into the root, but I really want to get to the root. But anything you want to comment on here, Jordan, first?
I just thought it would be nice to have the definition here up, like a dysfunctional relationship where one person assumes the role of the giver, sacrificing their own needs and well-being to meet the needs of another, often referred to as the taker. So, because I think we throw that codependency word around a lot, so I thought it might.
Well, a lot of people have it. A
Yeah.
lot do have
And
it.
you know what?
Yeah.
I never understood it until I read Melody's book, probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah. So,
and it's
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add that it's not always sometimes you don't even realize you are sacrificing. I mean, I think that word sacrifice, that is happening, but you might be raised that way. If you're raised in a dysfunctional family, you just might be raised that I always must sacrifice myself for this person, so that, well, for any number of reasons. One, maybe it's, I don't want to set this person off. I know that they're often emotionally, they can't regulate themselves. And so I have to sacrifice what I want and think and desire so that I accommodate them. Sometimes it's this other person's just never going to be happy unless I do X, Y, Z.
That's really, really key. Keep going.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
that's conditional love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And by the way, this codependency comes usually with a big helping of gaslighting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And why is that?
Well, it's how, let's pretend me and Ryan, we're talking about us. It's my way of letting Ryan know how awful he is if he doesn't give me what I want. And then he feels bad. So then he gives me what I want. And all of a sudden, we now have a very dysfunctional relationship. I am manipulating him, and he is willing to give up whatever he's got to give me whatever I need.
Okay.
So I just think, real quick, so this part of this, so they're saying it was used to describe, it's from AA. So it's this using to explain the enabling behaviors that sustained an addiction. So, for example, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm basically taking care of this person who's an alcoholic who can't really function themselves. And so I feel like I have to exist to sustain their habit so that our relationship can still function. I think that's what they're referring to.
And yeah, so you see these people get in these relationships with these toxic people, these abusive people, etc., these addicts, etc. And they don't take any responsibility for the fact that they chose that relationship with that person. But why do they do that? What's the root reason? Because that is a codependent relationship. An enabler, pair bonding with an addict, the enabler is almost universally codependent. Well, what's going on? Well, they find and in relationships, men get in these relationships with women, women with men. I know it's not respectful, but it's a common term, so I'm going to use it so you know what I'm talking about. Captain Save-A-Ho. Or a girl who gets with an abusive guy or an addict or toxic person. Why do they do that? Well, here's this little wounded bird. And if I heal this little wounded bird and I fix him, or maybe it's an big eagle, or whatever. But here's someone wounded. Here's someone who needs me. So if I help them, I'm this compassionate giver. If I save them, I fix them, whatever, then I'm a good person. And so codependency is, I'm not good enough just for who I am. I have to, it's growing up in an environment where you have to do certain things to get praise, validation, love, approval. And then you play that out in your adulthood. But at the core is toxic shame. At the core of addiction is toxic shame. Read Healing the Shame That Binds You. John Bradshaw still sells 13,000 copies a year, bestseller from 1988. and 40 years later, it's still selling 13,000 a year. No More Mr. Nice Guy talks about it. Codependent No More talks about it. People don't feel good enough just for who they are. They do not know how to give themselves unconditional self-love because they were never shown it growing up.
Correct. Let me also add,
And
now
that is the core root cause of codependency. Go ahead.
yeah, if you can highlight Scott's last comment there, super important to look at that one. He says he remembers when he first started dating, he would always give flowers to the girl on the first date. Number one,
Covert contract. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Unless. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If it is a gift, right?
Yeah.
And a gift is something that you give with no expectation of anything in return. Here is a gift. Thank you. Unfortunately, in many dysfunctional worlds, everybody gives a gift to get a gift. That is a dysfunctional relationship because now you're giving something to me that now you expect me to give something to you. It's the exact same thing as the guy who gives his wife flowers and wants sex 12 minutes later, right? Even though she didn't agree to it. So, Scott, absolutely nothing wrong with giving somebody a gift. Anybody, anywhere, with zero expectation of anything in return, that is cool. That is wonderful. But if there is some idea in the back of your brain that you want something for what you're giving, it's no longer a gift, it's an obligation. And that is a very solid difference between authenticity and inauthenticity. Thank you.
Yeah. Making yourself attractive for a date, doing something you want to do, you believe the girl also wants to do. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're giving gifts to impress someone, do you guys think that, I'm giving a gift so she'll like me? Is that a covert contract? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I'm giving flowers. Yeah.
Now it could be if you just want her to think of you as a gentleman and you give her something like flowers and she says, oh, they're very nice. A very functional woman would just accept that gift, say thank you, put them in a vase of water, and remember the very first time you gave them. And she could think of that years later that you gave her some gift. But again, if you're giving it to get something in return, no bueno.
I also think that perhaps the scale of the gift, if you're giving an entire bouquet, might be different than, something that's rather small. So, but
No clue.
I think what?
No clue on that one. I had to go read that book of etiquette.
Well, it's like if you're because I think the worry with giving flowers on the first date is over investment. You haven't made this other person
Sure
earn that, and so there's this idea that the gifts should be earned rather than just given. Otherwise, the individual might feel like, well, I haven't really. Why is this person giving me something? I haven't like. They might feel uncomfortable, like now I have to reciprocate. Is there going to be this expectation of I'm supposed to do X? And so I think the key is the girl going to feel like I owe him something now? If she doesn't feel like that, then that might be okay. But if she does feel like that, then you're already off to a rocky start. And I wouldn't even put myself in that position. Just maybe... that could be like a third date thing, maybe, but
sure.
I don't know about a first date. It seems a little aggressive. I mean, I've never, ever gotten a girl flowers for the first date. I think I bought my ex-girlfriend flowers for prom, and I bought, I think, my current girlfriend flowers last January, and we've been together for 4 years. So I'm like, I mean, I don't.
So what you're saying, Jordan, is that you don't show up on the first date, hand her the keys to her new Porsche?
Probably not. No. No.
Yeah. So giving gifts when you have a relationship with someone and have honest, good feelings towards them, as a sign of affection. Nothing wrong with that. But first
Correct.
date, you haven't developed any of that. So why are you doing it?
Right.
And typically I want to impress the girl. I want to get the girl to like me. And a lot of guys do that. They have I'll do this so that she'll like me. I'll do that so that she'll like me. I've heard people say, I do all these nice things for this person. All I want is some appreciation. It's like, well, so you're expecting something from that person.
That's
for all
right.
the, just genuinely nice. It's like, well, there's strings attached, aren't there? So now, again, I think there are relationships where you say, hey, I do expect some appreciation, but it's a relationship where you both kind of agreed to have, for example, in a marriage, a marriage is kind of like a type of contract you've already agreed to. So both people agree to it. It's not a bad thing, but I'm going to do this unilaterally and unilaterally impose on you an obligation. That is what they're talking about, which is
Correct.
Terrible, terrible idea. And again, it's because people don't know how to love themselves unconditionally. So they're doing things to then get that love from others. And it's falling into that. When I was a kid, I was only loved when I did certain things. I wasn't loved unconditionally. I have to do X, Y, Z to be loved. And they have this void in them, feeling not good enough, that toxic shame. And so they do these things to try and get love. And as an adult, it's dysfunctional. It doesn't work. It leads to people resenting you and or not liking you or avoiding you, etc. It's no bueno. So before we move on, anything else, guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
I had a thought about it's not that you don't do something and you don't expect to be appreciated. It's more like, because I think if you do something nice for someone and it's unappreciated, I think you're probably a lot less likely to do anything else for that person. So I think you want to be respected. Is that?
Well, that's a good point, but you're not going to resent or be hurt if they don't give you appreciation. You're just going to say, oh, okay. And
yeah, it's not. I think the point is like, do you feel like, because you're putting your time and energy into somebody, and I think the expectation, I'm wondering if expectation is the right word.
I think it is, like, but tell me what you mean.
I think, well, you
shouldn't expect anything back. It's nice if you do it, but go ahead.
But you want a mutually beneficial relationship, I think is
well, yeah, and if you agree to that beforehand, like a marriage relationship, it's pretty clear, or it should be clear. You both have expectations. Hey, you're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and you're gonna do these chores on the weekend, and person A is gonna do these chores, person B does these chores. You have an agreement in order to, sustainably live together. And Tim, you've been married, what, 30 something years?
42.
Dang. So haven't you and your wife worked things out and had mutual agreements of, I expect you to do this, and then person A and then person B, okay, you're going to handle these responsibilities, the other person, these responsibilities. Have you done that, or what's it like for you, Tim?
Pretty smooth. We just go along to get along and keep on rolling and do things as we need. And now she's running a business and I'm her slave. But other than that, things are good.
Don't you talk it out and agree who does what?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, it doesn't get done.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yep. But even the typical marriage vows, they say, I do. What are they doing? They're agreeing to, to have to hold through sickness and health, for better or worse. It's a mutual agreement. The wedding vows, a vow. I vow to do this for you. The other person, I vow to do this. That's fine. But when you don't agree beforehand, I'm going to do something nice, and now I expect this person to do something in return. That is a covert contract.
Correct.
And it's no bueno, and that's what these guys are talking about.
And I'll tell you that doesn't last long, because one person will certainly if they're really, really damaged, they may just be comfortable in that situation and sort of muck it out.
Yeah.
But if they're a solid citizen and got a good inner game, they will not put up with that very long.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Yeah, I may have more thoughts on that, but let me
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, go
no,
for it, Jordan.
well, after I need to mull over my
Cool,
thoughts in my
cool.
head.
So this is codependency. This is, I don't know how to love myself, therefore I need it from someone else. Now I'm going to do things like covert contracts. I'm going to be good for the wrong reasons in order to get that love I don't know how to provide myself because I feel not good enough at my core. That's codependency right there. I've heard it. I've heard codependency. The best alternate description for it I've heard is self-love deficit disorder. You don't know how to love yourself, so you manipulate others to give it to you. That's codependency.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Self-love deficit disorder.
Once you give yourself unconditional love, you are no longer codependent.
Well,
Once
remember,
you unconditionally do it.
yeah, Ryan, I mean,
Go ahead.
validation is the name of the game, right? So you're either going to validate yourself or you're going to look for validation somewhere else. And I'm telling you that somewhere else is never enough. So you continually seek that as you go. So the key, like Ryan said in the beginning, learn to love yourself to the core, because that is the ever spring of validation that you'll ever need. It just keeps giving every single day. In fact, Carrie, she'll sit on the couch and she'll just go, I'm happy. I'm just happy. I mean, it feels good.
You can love yourself better than anyone else can.
Right. And I'm not doing a thing. She's just happy.
Curious, Jordan, what SLDD means. And also, Scott, if you could put in the chat.
Self-love deficit disorder.
Oh, self-love deficit disorder. Okay. Scott, if you're okay with it, Scott, tell us what the general reaction of the girls you gave flowers to on the first date was. How did that generally go for you? If you're so inclined, but we'll keep moving on and put it in if you feel like it, Scott. I'm not imposing an obligation on you didn't agree to. It's just a polite request.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right.
But with the wrong motive, those behaviors become dysfunctional.
That's right.
As a codependent.
That's right. Yeah. So as a codependent, they're controlling. They're trying to get love back. And they're coming from an empty place, because when we abandon ourselves, when we're not taking care of that inner child, we're not taking care of our feelings, then we're feeling empty inside. We've got like a black hole inside. And then we're taking care of somebody else so that they'll fill that black hole. Well, people don't like to be controlled. Nobody likes to be controlled. So when somebody is trying to get love, the other person will likely pull back, withdraw, shut down. And then you wonder, why is this happening? You know, I'm being so nice. I'm being so loving. Why are they so shut down? But they're picking up the energy of the manipulation.
They sense the intention.
That's right.
Even though they can't describe it, even though they might not be able to identify it, they still sense, and that's in a Bowen family systems, that's the emotional field.
Right.
The emotional field is contaminated with this urge to push or pull rather than just be yourself. And so I'm doing these things to push and pull.
Right. And
to be me.
Yeah. And very often, you know, somebody with an anxious relationship style who's got this fear of abandonment will meet somebody with an avoidant relationship style who's got a fear of engulfment. And so the one who's afraid of abandonment is going to be clutchy, jealous, you know, angry, just, you know, trying to control in a lot of ways.
Pursuing.
Right. And the other one is going to feel engulfed, controlled, smothered, and they're going to withdraw from that. And that's a very, as you know, a very, very common system.
Common problem.
Yeah. Well, if each person does their inner work, if they practice inner bonding, they start to take care of their feelings, they develop their loving adult, they develop their spiritual connection, they learn to make themselves secure on the inner level, then they would be in a position to not take rejection personally, which is what the loving adult learns to do, not take it personally, not get so hurt,
Right.
and to set limits against being controlled and smothered and engulfed. And so we heal those fears of rejection and engulfment as we practice inner bonding and develop that loving adult and spiritual connection.
And and those vibes that we send out then change,
Right.
and the system becomes more calm, and the system becomes more, as you say, loving and connected.
Well, we hope,
it's
yeah.
always a game, right?
Right. We hope when I work with, like one end of a couple, one person, and they say, well, what's going to happen if I really stop caretaking this person or stop trying to control them and start to love myself? And I say, well, I don't know. It could get a whole lot better, and it could get a whole lot worse. But at least
we're changing the system, right?
Yes,
and you're going to know.
Yes, one person changes the system. And
Right.
so then you'll know, like somebody says, should I leave my relationship? And I say, well, you haven't done your work yet.
Right.
Deal with your end of the system. Deal with your manipulative, controlling behavior first. Deal with learning to love yourself and stop abandoning yourself, and then see what happens in the relationships. I mean, unless there's violence, unless there's abuse. Yeah,
of course. And I've even told couples, I hope that you can get healthy enough to divorce.
Yeah.
Which means do your work and then decide what you want to do with the relationship. Don't just take the push and pull and then go, okay, I'm going to get out of it now.
Right.
Because then you're just going to go to another. There's no learning.
Exactly. There's no learning. And of course, I'm sure as long as you've been working, I've been working for over 50 years, you see it happen over and over and
good.
over.
I hope you're older than I am.
I am older than you.
And I want somebody to be older than me.
I'm older than you.
But you're right. Doing that work and learning is what's so important. Versus just the status of the relationship.
Right.
And
let's go ahead and pause real quick. So we got an interesting take in the comments here, because there's a female opinion of being given flowers, and then Scott's explaining more. I don't entirely understand this last part, but you mentioned boundaries, so correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Rebecca? You're saying like your boundaries would go up just in case? Is that what you mean, Rebecca? Sounds like certain walls would go up maybe, but I'm not sure. If you could clarify that.
I think she meant to say I would say right out of the box what my boundaries are. Maybe
I would right out of the box know what my boundaries are.
Yeah.
It's probably what that means.
I think there's a word missing.
Well, again, she would suspect this guy's up to no good. Like, why are you here with flowers on the first date?
Yeah. Why is he doing this? He doesn't even know me.
Right.
And then Scott says a lot of them were low interest, and they were surprised. I think I brought flowers to a first date once. The girl was super surprised. And I didn't get any points with her. Like, she, as far as her being more attracted to me, 0, but she was surprised. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. Did you kind of sense they were low interest and she trying to increase their interest? I do think it's interesting. Scott says now they give me gifts, and I've seen girls super interested in me, want to cook me dinner and stuff. And I think it's great, but it doesn't. A woman treating me very, very nice. It is nice if they're, especially if they're just nice people, and that's just what they do. Or I took them to a nice dinner. Now they're cooking me dinner. That's great. But I will say, in a way, it doesn't make them more attractive. But I can tell if there's a little, she's trying to manipulate me or get me to like her more. I can almost always tell.
Yeah.
Or if it's just like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's cook together. Awesome. But you guys have, oh, we got more here. She says,
I got it right. I think I
Yeah.
would say that was what
yeah.
she said.
Yeah, exactly. What I would say as a guy, to get a girl to like you, number one, just learn how to be confidently authentic. Number two, learn how to pull the trigger, just, approach and talk, and then ask for the date. And number three, just be attractive as far as, working on yourself. Good career, you got something going on. Again, confidently authentic, you go to the gym, all of that. Because that's making yourself attractive without doing anything that gives them any imposes expectations on them. You just become a lot more attractive. And then girls are just like, all over you then. But it's entirely their choice and there's no obligations there. But you probably already know that, Scott. Scott's a smart guy.
Yeah. Can I elaborate on that point, Ryan? Yeah. So I think that was going back to what I was having trouble expressing before, which is like, when I'm on a date, I want the other person, like, if I like the other person, I want them to like, I'm going to do things like you said, go to the gym. I'll put on some nice clothes. Maybe I'll put gel through my hair. Maybe I'll shave. Like, I will do things to make myself attractive, I guess, without again, I'm trying to get around that word expectation. It's not, because you are doing things to try and make yourself more appealing. Like, I could think of it like a job interview in a different context. I might put on a tie, I might put on a dress shirt. I might present well. I might, you're doing things to be presentable, but there's not to give yourself the best shot, but you're not necessarily you still feel good about yourself, whether or not the date goes well or not. It's not, I'm only going to feel, I have to do this so that I get the approval of somebody else and therefore I can feel good about it. I mean, so do you see what I'm trying to get? I feel like I'm missing a phrase or a word here, but because we do things so that other people like us, if every time I interact with Ryan, I'm just like, I don't know, like punching him in the face, like I'm not going to do those. Like there are certain things that we do so that other people like us. But
let me help a little bit.
Yeah.
When you love yourself, you will take pride in yourself and pleasure in yourself to make yourself look like you want to be looked like, right? You may shave, you may grow a beard, you may wear a certain shirt, certain color, certain pair of shoes you like. I mean, whatever the case may be, you're going to dress up like you. Now, in my journals, and I can't even tell you where they're at now, they may have been thrown away now. Carrie was the 39th girl that I dated across a couple of years. And some of those dates were nothing more than, hey, do you want to go to Subway for a sandwich? And I would not dress up. I'd have my t-shirt on, my jeans on, my pony tenny runners on. And I had a haircut because I was in the Navy, and I shaved because I was in the Navy and stuff. So I was just me, whatever me was. And some of those dates were just, no real interest there. Nice girl, nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with me, just wasn't any chemistry there. Then the minute I met Carrie, I said, oh, wow. I don't know what it is, but I could feel the chemistry. And she even says now, why do you love me? I go, I don't know. Other than the physical attraction, I thought she was cute and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is deep down. I'm generally a pretty authentic person. She was a little damaged, I guess, when we first met. Didn't know much about her mom and dad and stuff, but I just liked her, right? Deep down, I could see there's this awesome little person in there that I really wanted to get to know. Well, it did take about 39 years to finally peel off that bad onion layer and really get to know her. And I just love, I don't even know what it is. I just love when she's just sitting there and she's smiling. That's it.
And couldn't you do anything to force that to be there? Or
no, not a thing. Not one thing. But so I just made me. I wasn't a scrub. I wasn't dirty. I wasn't unkempt. I just took pride in my appearance of here's me to the world. So
yeah, here's the best
shave.
me.
Yeah,
But it's
shave,
me.
don't shave. Love me, hate me. I don't really care, but this is me. And not that I was that coarse about it, but it was like, here's me. I'm just going to show up like I am and, all that kind of stuff. So to help Jordan out, you're right. You do take pride in your appearance and you want to look a certain way, and that's you coming out to the world. That's simple.
You cannot have the best connection unless you're authentic. Because when you're authentic, then you have an authentic connection. If you're doing all this other stuff, what everyone's really looking for, as far as relationships, is authentic connection.
That's
and
right.
then, in a marriage relationship, there's going to be responsibilities because you're going to raise kids together, right? For most marriages. So that's when it's okay to say, okay, I want this person to do X, Y, Z because we're going to be living together, and I don't want to, I don't want them beating the kids, or I don't want them not able to provide, X. So that's okay. But that, the foundation first is authentic connection. Can't force it. You be authentic, they're authentic, and then you got something, it just happens.
That's it. 100%.
And there's nothing you do to force it. You just be yourself. All you do is you put yourself out to the universe until the universe responds back, the real you. People aren't authentic because they don't think the real them's the best part of them. They don't love who they really are at the core. And then you got all this other codependent stuff starts happening. And you have enmeshed families, you have all this dysfunctional stuff. It starts with self-love, then you're authentic, then you have real connection, and nothing's forced. It just flows. And it's amazing when that happens.
Now, if you don't mind me, Ryan, I'm going to talk about some relationship things that I heard from you, 20 years ago when we were together and stuff.
Go for it. Back when I was messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan was, Ryan back then. I didn't really understand all the stuff that was going on, but he certainly was living through it. But I remember one time, and he bought this most gorgeous BMW of a blue color that literally, when it's in the sun, it burns your eyeballs. It is so gorgeous. I don't remember what color was that, Ryan?
It was some sort of blue, but it was the BMW 335i Coupe.
Yep.
And I put a spoiler on the back, and we had a lot of fun in that car.
Yep. And I remember him saying,
horsepower.
Yeah, I remember him saying, and by the way, there's a lot of good reasons to buy that car. 100% hands down.
Fun. It's a fun
But I remember the main driving thing was Ryan says, and when I go to church, the chicks will really dig me.
I did say that.
And I thought to myself, what do you give a crap what they think about? I never said that out loud because I didn't want to put Ryan down. I mean, if that's what your thought is, that's great. But I knew that wasn't the way to get a girl. But I just thought that was interesting. And I didn't understand that 20 years, 18 years ago, or whenever that was, right? I didn't get that at all. I understand now. But if you ever, anybody out there in the audience, if you ever do anything with the thought of what someone else will feel about you because you do or buy that thing or dress that way or wear these certain clothes or whatever, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's actually a later version.
But blue, man.
Almost the same. No, actually, that is the same. That's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you ever do anything for the thought of a piece of validation from somebody else appreciating you doing that, we need to talk. We need to have a session. We need to find you. Now, if Ryan said, man, I'm going to buy this car because horsepower, handling, so on and so forth, whatever, 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds, whatever the heck it was, I would go, yeah, that's cool, man. But that's
I bought it for
why
those
he bought
reasons
the car.
too.
I mean, those are good reasons.
Yeah.
But the real reason was he was looking for that validation outside of himself that I didn't realize what was going on then. But that was the issue. And now Ryan doesn't even have a car. He don't need one. He's so awesome. No. He's like, yeah, if I get one, I get one. If I don't, I don't. And he's had some cool cars. But it is cool to see him now versus back then, because I understand it now. Now I get it. But yeah, 100% money, man. I agree.
Yeah, that stuff. It gets people's attention and initial interest if you dress exceedingly super stylish, you drive a Porsche, you live in a super nice house. It gives you kind of like surface level attention.
Yep.
But you will never ever get meaningful connection because of those things. And when I was telling you before, now they have this car, hot girls are going to like me or whatever I said, I was really saying because I'm not attractive enough for who I am.
Correct.
And I've had some huge shifts where I have much more success dating. And I had a bunch of huge shifts about 6 years ago and started succeeding much more with the women, and the big shifts were all around. I could be exactly who I am, and I don't need to do any of this behavior. And I don't have to like a girl. She doesn't have to like me. All I got to do is pull the trigger. And if she treats me well and I like her and we have authentic connection, and I'm not going to tolerate certain things because I am worthy of being respected. And I am going to go after exactly who I want and do things I want that, hopefully she likes too. But if not, then we're just not a match. And the brand new mindset, I got ghosted. And I mean, so many first dates and so few second dates for such a long time. I remember one girl when I was back in my trauma, I dated for 5 months and she'd never kiss me. And it's like, so I eventually stopped dating her, but it's like, like I would try and kiss her and she'd be like, oh, I'm not ready for that. And then after we break up, I see a photo of her on Instagram making out with a guy. It's like, what the heck's going on there? Well, now I'm the guy in the photo making out with the girl. I'm not the guy being nice. And she says, I'm not ready for this. And I've been dating her every week for 3 months. It's just like ridiculous, man. Yeah. So I just got to tell you, once you love yourself, other people sense it in you, and you still have to have, you still have to look good, etc. But the core is just, you love yourself, you're authentic, and then the right person really will find, assuming you're pulling the trigger and initiating, find you attractive too. The right, and it's not just one right person. There's actually many. So,
yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Small percentage, but many as a number,
All right, we'll keep rolling on this.
That if you get healthier, you'll find out what you should do.
That's right.
Because they keep asking me also when I was practicing in marriage and family, they keep, do you think we should divorce? I'm like, how would I know?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not in a relationship with you. I can only deal with my relationships.
Right.
And, but I would advise you to do your work, then you will know.
Yes, then you will know. And that's what happened for me, because I was in a 30-year marriage and I was the caretaker through most of the marriage until I got really sick. It makes you sick to abandon yourself. You can't do it forever.
Codependency and caretaking can be deadly.
Yeah, and at some point, my inner child said to me, how sick do I have to make you before you start taking care of me? And I got the message. That was at the beginning of inner bonding. But then, it's scary. It's scary to start to take care of yourself when you're in a long relationship. And it was very scary for me to think, oh my God, maybe the people who say they love me don't. If I really take care of myself instead of take care of them,
that's the fear.
What's going to happen? And I had to make a decision that I was willing to lose everybody else, but I was no longer willing to lose me because I was going to die.
And we were using them to bolster
Yeah,
our sense of wellness and who we are and that we're worthy and that.
that's right.
And
But
so
it
they're
wasn't
holding
working.
us up, but it doesn't work. It doesn't ultimately work, but we
No.
use them. So if I detach, or if I start working on my issues, well, then they might not be happy with me. And that's how I've been living all these years.
Right. And so it took a lot of courage for me. I had to say, okay, if I end up alone, if I lose everybody, I'll be okay. And if I get hurt, I'll be okay. I have to be willing to be hurt. I have to be willing to lose everybody. And in fact, that is what happened. It was the hardest time of my life because I'd been such a good caretaker, Mother Earth to everybody. And so my husband was mad, my kids were mad, my parents were mad. My parents actually disowned me. I mean, it was a really, really tough time, but you know what? I got well and I got me and I got my aliveness and I got my creativity and I got my health. And so even though I had to deal with finding out that the people who said they loved me really didn't, although 2 of my 3 kids kind of came back in, I benefited enormously.
Well, it clears the table. It clears the table, and you know who really loves you.
That's right.
And who can't.
That's right.
Who doesn't? Who can't?
Yeah.
Right.
Or who's not willing to do the work they need to do to get there.
Okay, let's stop.
You have a system.
Everyone who has these codependent, enmeshed relationships, dysfunctional relationships like she's talking about, and then takes the journey to becoming emotionally healthy. Not everyone, but most of them are going to experience what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was gonna say I know it. Jordan knows it. But the old her in these enmeshed relationships, the caretaker, I guarantee you she was depressed and anxious all the time.
Oh, yes.
All the time.
You can't help it.
And I had to cut off a lot of friends that were unhealthy. I had to distance myself from, certain family members. I mean, I still talk to all my family members, but I was living with a brother and had to move out. I chose to move out and cut off unhealthy because they kept me, or they were interfering with, hey, now I'm going to just love myself and this is who I really am. And you get pushback and it's interfering with your ability to continue with that, with this new way of unconditional self-love and authenticity. And you notice either because they're being too negative and that's dragging you down, or too manipulative, or they're criticizing you now, or whatever they're doing because they don't like the new you because you're no longer in the system. I had to, distance, and some more or less cut off. Not completely. I'm never like, I won't talk to anyone ever again. That wasn't me, but distance myself. 2 things happen. Number one, you do become so much happier because now you're loving the real you and giving yourself what that old system was, what you're trying to get from the old system and weren't getting, you're now getting. And number 2, when the unhealthy people fall by the wayside, it's only a matter of time before they are replaced with healthy relationships that are so much infinitely better than the old ones that were tied to so much anxiety, misery, feeling not good enough, dysfunctional behavior, etc. I do want to point out, for those of us listening, I guarantee you so many people don't know how to unconditionally love themselves and give that to themselves. My invitation to you, go to our community, because there is a system there that actually teaches you how to unconditionally love yourself, and it's free. School.com/RyanFowlerSOS-7231. Join for free. Go to the classroom. Take that training. Listen to the audio. We've talked about inner child work before. The second half of that audio is inner child work. First half is finding painful beliefs in you, you're not good enough, toxic shame, etc., and getting an out. Second half is inner child work, which is you unconditionally loving yourself. It guides you through that process. Try it, it'll change your life. And you guys have anything, or just go on, or we're at the hour mark?
I love the phrase, it clears the table. And
Yeah.
I think that's you find out who really loves you, who can't, or who's just unable to do the work. I mean, I think Ryan and
you
I
can't
both
control
know.
them.
Yep. And yep. Because it really makes you realize, like, what was just a house of cards? What relationships in your life were really just a house of cards waiting to fall down? If you decide to start loving and taking care of yourself, and they try and punish you or shame you or guilt you for doing so, perhaps that relationship was not what you originally thought it was. And that sucks. Don't get me wrong. That's why a lot of people, to be fair, that's why a lot of people don't do what he's talking about. That's why
they don't want to find that out.
Right. That's why Margaret put that off for so long, is because, look, it's when this all collapses, I have a really big problem. It's better to live in this, at least lie to myself and say it's not as bad as I think it is, because it can be feeling like you're getting zeroed out. But if you go through it, if you go in with the intention, she even admitted, she's like, this is how I was able to do it. It was like, I had to be okay with knowing I might lose everything, but I'll still be okay. And you go in with that mindset, yeah, it's still difficult, but she knew ultimately, no matter what happens, and that's the kind of belief that we always try and get our clients to believe, is no matter what happens, I'll be okay. And that's what she was able to do.
But until you cross that chasm, on the other side is all the healthy relationships. It starts with you loving yourself, and then you have a realization, if I'm going to be truly authentic and embrace the real me and unconditionally love the real me, geez, I'm in this situation where there's all these things getting in the way of that, these dysfunctional relationships. And so once you get that self-love, you then come to a realization, okay, some of these things are keeping me from fully realizing this. And that's where you then have that decision point. Am I going to stay in this old pain and misery, or am I willing to let it go so I can move to the other side? On the other side, after you cross that chasm, are healthy, authentic relationships. After you love yourself. It's always after you love yourself or clear that trauma, but that can be a very difficult chasm to cross.
So let me add some words to what Jordan was saying.
Sure.
And referring to Mrs. Dr. Paul.
Okay.
Your subconscious will drive you towards the pleasurable and away from the pain. It will drive you towards the comfortable and away from the uncomfortable, or it wants to. Or it'll drive you towards the familiar and away from the unfamiliar. Dr. Paul, in her familial relationship, was very comfortable being there because she knew what her role was. And it was very familiar to her because she was very used to fulfilling that role. However, it was tremendously painful. And I think that her inner soul and heart and all that good stuff you want to talk about really reached out to want to experience some pleasure. And that's why she would be depressed and have anxiety, because she couldn't break out of that. And she was stuck in the familiar and the comfortable. Now, familiar and comfortable don't mean they're good. You're just used to it, right?
Yeah.
So the whole goal, long story short, is about joy. And joy is that thing you feel from your chest, heart, stomach, whatever you want to call it, head, that is bright, warm, and shiny. And you could be sitting in a room by yourself on the floor with not another soul or word or music or anything. It's just joyful. That's what you get to experience because you're truly loving your authentic self. That's what you get to experience when you cross the chasm. And by the way, there may be a couple of chasms to cross. Carrie had a couple of chasms to cross. She may even have one more. And I'm hopeful for her to find that thing. I will clear it for her, and she will experience even more joy than she's feeling now. And she has the brightest eyes and the most wonderful smile and countenance when she's just sitting there and going, I'm just happy, happy.
Yeah.
I'm just happy, happy. That is pure joy.
And isn't that great?
And I am so happy because I look at her and go, that's the way I felt about you and myself for 42 years. And now she gets to experience that almost fully. And believe me, that's what we're here for, to experience joy.
Isn't it funny? You felt that way about her, but it didn't get into her until she
Can't
cleared
make
her
it.
own trauma and did her own work.
Right. Can't make her do it. She has to experience her own joy. I can't, maybe she was living through my happiness for a bit and hanging on, but man, she got some joy now and just gallons full.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, the new paradigm is she feels, wow, the real me, I don't need to do anything to be good enough to be worthy of love. I just am. I can just sit here and be good enough.
100%.
And the old anxiety, depressed, seeking validation, that's all tied to, I'm not good enough and I have to do these things to get love from others to feel love.
Right.
And so I'm going to do this to feel love. I'm going to do this to feel love. I'm going to do this to be good enough. I'm going to get to this level to measure up. And it's a completely dysfunctional system.
On the money.
And because you don't have control over whether or not you're good enough, you need approval of others, and they have the power to not give it to you. You have this anxiety. What if they don't give me love? You're in this disempowered state.
Yep.
Everyone desperately wants to feel worthy of love. But when you feel you need it from the outside world, which you can't always control, now you're going to be anxious as to whether you're going to get it or not. The truth is you can give it to yourself anytime you need it. And then you are like Carrie.
Yep.
I'm just happy. Wow.
Just
So
joyful.
awesome.
Joyful.
Yeah, so awesome.
Just joyful. We are created as human beings to fulfill the measure of our expectations and experience joy.
And now that she's joyful just for who she is now a source of joy that just radiates out to others.
That's it.
And so this is literally how you claim your power.
And both of us have Ryan to thank for 100% of that.
It's my honor and pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, and you're welcome. So this is why I say you have more power than you know. You don't need others to give you approval to be good enough. You can give that to yourself. And that is you claiming your power. And once you have that realization, you now become a source of love and joy that radiates out to others. Once you give yourself love, and then you find out, wow, I have enough for me and for others. And then you just start helping others as an expression of love without needing anything in return. You are no longer codependent. You're no longer manipulating, no more covert contracts, because you don't need anything from them. You already gave it to yourself. Unconditional self-love. The real you. Not, I'm going to be this, this, and this. It's like, no, just who I am sitting here right now. I love. So awesome. It's the key. It's a key to unlock the true potential of the human soul and actually have true happiness.
Absolutely.
So, I love what you said about your wife, and because there's some really deep truths that are embodied by her journey. And if you guys want to start this journey, that's how you get started right there. A lot of people do need one-on-one sessions, guidance, but a lot of people can benefit from our free program. A lot of people have. I have video interviews on my channel. The Mike H interview. That's just one. All he did was my self-hypnosis. There's another guy named Barry. I think my super neuroplasticity part 4 guy was depressed, did the self-hypnosis, cured his depression. So that free program can be powerful. A lot of people need more. That's where we come in. Tim, one-on-one sessions, Jordan, one-on-one, me is one-on-one as well. But take the free stuff. Take that step. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Yeah, self-reported. Can't use that word cured.
Yeah. So
We're not doctors,
self-report. Yeah. So we've been diving into what can we say and can we not say that'll run afoul of we're not psychologists, we're not licensed.
You agreed to it.
Can't claim to cure anything, but they report that they cured their depression listening to the audio self-report. Anyways, yeah. Thanks, Jordan. Anything else?
No, good show. We held seems like between 9 and 10 live viewers for the first time.
Yeah, we're up to 15.
So thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks for watching. Try it out if you haven't yet. And claim your power. You don't need anyone to make you good enough. You already are. You just got to realize it. And that's what we do. That is my life's mission, to help people understand and realize that, whoever you are. Because you truly are good enough. You have a certain level of intrinsic value and worth just for who you are. Once you realize that, it changes everything. You will then realize you truly do have more power than you know. That's our show. Thank you.